Good evening. Thank you all so much for being here at the City Manager Finalist Community Meet and Greet. So there are 4 of them. They've each been given 10 minutes. And then at the end, after they've each given their section, at the very end, we'll take questions. So that way, if you have any questions, just kind of hold them to the end, and we'll make sure to get those answered. So just for context, as you're listening to them, we did ask them when they're speaking this evening to talk about why they would like to be the next city manager of Golden, how they plan to foster and move forward the goals of the strategic plan, and how they plan to continue to make Golden not only a great place to live, but also to work and play. So that was the prompt they were given. They're each going to have 10 minutes, and then at the end we will have questions, so you guys can ask them at that point. So any questions now before we get started? No? All right, well, we're going to go in alphabetical order. The first finalist we would like you to meet is Heather Balzer.
Hi, can folks hear me? Does that work? Okay, I won't be singing with this thing tonight. So it's great to see you all. Thank you all so much for coming out. It's great to come out, that you're willing to invest in your community to be here tonight on a Monday night. Really appreciate it. Heather Balzer. I served as the city manager for the city of Louisville, Colorado from 2017 through 2021. And I previously served in a number of different roles at the city of Louisville. I was there for 24 years and began my career there in 1997. Did lots of things, including the assistant city manager, deputy city manager. So I like to say I've done just about every job in the city, touched every job in the city, really enjoy the work of local government. I'm currently the interim chief resiliency officer for the city of Greeley, working on homeless and affordable housing issues. And I also advise the Boulder Chamber of Commerce on transportation-related issues. I have an undergraduate degree in economics from Bates College in Maine, and I have a master's in public administration from the University of Colorado at Denver. So just a little personal information. I've been married for 27 years. We make a great team, and we have 2 wonderful children. Our daughter just graduated from college, and she's going to be teaching 5th grade in the Indianapolis Public Schools in the fall. And our son is a junior at Purdue University in majoring in mechanical engineering. So we're really proud of them. They're great kiddos. So just to get back to my experience, so I have a wide range of local government experience. Like I said, I've done just about every job in the city. I have expertise in all the things that cities do. So that includes developing and managing budgets, revenue diversification and fiscal policies, community planning, transportation. I worked on the city's first transportation master plan, worked on utilities, rate studies, led the equity, diversity, and inclusion efforts in the city, internally within the organization, as well as through a community task force. Managed rec center, golf course, library, museum, and I oversaw the completion of a $30 million expansion and renovation of the Louisville Recreation and Senior Center. Worked on parks, trails, open space, facilitated retention and attraction of businesses within the city, worked on urban renewal implementation and TIF financing, worked on lots of housing-related issues, lots of community outreach and engagement, and emergency management as well. I managed the flood recovery in 2013 in the city. Our golf course was destroyed, as well as some bridges in town, parks, trails, and some water infrastructure. So I managed that reimbursement and the recovery with the state and FEMA. Also have a long history of working on HR and policy issues, staff development. Retention and recruitment is a critical part of building a great city organization. One of the city's greatest assets are its employees. And in the city of Louisville, I led the city's first strategic organizational plan. So really worked on the mission, vision, and values for the workforce to explain and build a culture of how we do our work in the city. And that was a great success and really helps define how we do our work and deliver services and how we did that in the city of Louisville. I have a strong reputation for collaboration in the Front Range. I believe strongly in leveraging assets and bringing all the stakeholders to the table. I've done significant regional collaboration work around transportation, helped build US 36, the rebuild with HOV, bus rapid transit, and a bikeway as well as toll lane. Have worked on Northwest Rail for over probably 20 years, and I'm still hopeful that someday we'll get some rail service in Boulder County. I've worked on open space purchases regionally with our neighbors and the county, as well as development and construction of affordable housing projects, and have done lots of intergovernmental agreements and shared services as well. Louisville and the town of Superior do a lot of things together. We provide library services for the town of Superior, do maintenance on the Diverging Diamond Interchange that we also help build together, just two small communities that work really well together and try to provide services, and are working really hard at recovery right now after the Marshall Fire, doing a great job. I guess, just to talk about my relevant experience, I've worked and lived in a community with a vibrant historic downtown, and I really understand and value that heart of the community. I understand the importance of special events and the opportunities to gather. At the same time, recognizing that we need to maintain and preserve that character and what makes that special. And great cities have great downtowns, and that's a great part of Golden and a great part of Louisville as well. I also believe strongly in transparency and open government. Louisville and Boulder County have a strong reputation for their robust public process. And I really believe that good process and transparency up front leads to good decision-making and also allows for more timely operationalization and implementation of projects so that we do the work up front to make sure we're engaging with you all and getting your feedback, and then we can get the projects done and meet the desires of the community. So we had a couple questions that we needed to answer. And so I'm just going to go through those quickly. So why Golden? Why do I want to be the next city manager? I feel like my values really align with the Golden Vision 2030, especially those around community and belonging and the local businesses in downtown. That really resonates with me. Downtown's the heart of the community again, and that wonderful sense of place, and that's really hard to replicate, and I'd love to be in a community that has that special place. And the mix of businesses, the natural environment, your recreational facilities, all of those things really make this a place that I would love to be. And I also feel that my experience and skills in the 24 years that I was in Louisville and the work I'm doing right now as well around homeless and housing issues and transportation can really assist Golden in going into the future and building off all the great work that's already been done here. And I would love to be part of that and have the opportunity to lead the city organization as the city manager. So how I plan to foster and move forward the goals of the strategic plan is the next question. I've got to dive deep and really do my due diligence and understand the background, engage with the community, city council, the staff, really understand the issues. There's a lot of items in that strategic plan, some short-term, some long-term. Understand those that need more policy discussion from the city council, and more an engagement from the community to help and help with that decision-making process, and then implementation and what that looks like. And then there's some that are either in the process or more implementation focused, and so I just start to get to work on those as well, and be really transparent in achieving those strategic goals, and engaging the community and having those conversations and building those partnerships to get those projects completed. How do I plan to continue to make Golden a great place to live and work and play? Really, again, just seek to understand what's working well, because there's a lot working well, and then, really understand the opportunities and challenges moving forward really engaging with the community, partners, businesses, to, again, understand those opportunities and challenges. Really respect the past, look towards the future. Those are, sometimes there's a balance there, and I really enjoy working on both of those things. Leveraging the uniqueness of Golden, its downtown, its natural amenities, business environment, and the high level of service provision that we do, and the excellent staff that you have here, to really balance that appropriate growth and development, as well as long-term fiscal sustainability. So really understanding how we can continue to provide the services that you all love, and do it in a way that's sustainable long-term for the community. So I would love to be your next city manager in Golden, and I'm wanted to try to keep that brief, because you're going to hear from lots of folks, and just really appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight, and hope to see you again in the future. Thanks.
Good evening. Hope this is. How about that? Okay? Nods in the back. Great. Good evening. Hi, I'm Larry Doerr. I'm Deputy City Manager of the City of Westminster, Colorado. It's a pleasure to be with you here tonight. Thank you for coming out. It's a real honor for all four of us that you have this interest in your community and in us as your candidates for city manager. So again, a real pleasure to be with you. I've been Deputy City Manager at the City of Westminster since January of 2020. We're a thriving and exciting community in both Jefferson and Adams County, about 110,000 residents. We're a full-service city with police services, fire services. Both of those are served by collective bargaining units. We have a full-time fire service in Westminster and a fully integrated water utility. We have 2 golf courses, recreation centers, and we provide all of the street maintenance, transportation, and so forth across Westminster. Recently in Westminster, our voters have approved an extension of our parks, open space, and sales tax. The City of Westminster has a sales tax for open space in addition to the Adams County and Jefferson County sales tax. And that extension will allow us to borrow funds and also acquire open space and improve some of our parks and trails in Westminster. That's a very exciting outcome for our city. We're also undertaking an extensive evaluation of our $4 billion fully integrated water utility to understand its infrastructure and its longevity for our city. We're really excited to do that, along with we're finalizing our community survey. We've updated our strategic plan under our new mayor and council, and we're excited to get that implemented. I'm going to talk a little bit about that and how I foster the alignment of staff and the implementation of the strategic plan. So again, Westminster is exciting. We're very proud of the work that's happening there, and I've been proud of the work that we've done. Prior to my service in Westminster, I've now reached over 20 years of service in local government here in Jefferson County. Prior to working for the City of Westminster, I was the finance director at the City of Lakewood for over 16 years and 18 total years of employment. I was the longest-serving finance director in the City of Lakewood's history and had a chance to work on some real signature career-type projects there, like the St. Anthony Level 1 Trauma Hospital and the annexation of the Federal Center into the City of Lakewood. Also had a chance to work on the Villa Italia, formerly Villa Italia, now Belmar downtown in Lakewood, and that was an exciting occasion for our city in Lakewood. And then, of course, everything related to the West Rail line and transit-oriented development, station-oriented development in our city. And I'm a Colfax person. I've run the Colfax Marathon. I've walked up and down Colfax. I've been involved in its evolution, its construction. It's familiar to me. It's exciting to me. And once you have Colfax in your blood, it's in your blood forever. So part of my service at the City of Lakewood. Prior to that, I worked in the private sector. I worked in financial services for about 7 years for a variety of banks, insurance companies, and had a chance to really understand the private sector before I went back to school and earned my MBA from University of Colorado Boulder. So that gives you a little flavor for my experience, and I've had a chance to be involved in a lot of different projects over the course of my career here in Jefferson County, one of which, and a few, overlap, of course, the city of Golden, as you'd imagine, including the Foothills Animal Shelter, and a lot of collaboration with the leadership here in Golden. And I hope that you feel that's been a success for your community. So why do I want to be the next city manager of Golden? First, Golden is a beautiful and thriving community. It's an exciting, welcoming community. Of course, I've visited Golden before I moved here 25 years ago. It's just such an attractive and beautiful city. I've ridden my bike up Lookout Mountain, and I've ridden my tube down the Clear Creek, as so many have. It's just near and dear, I think, to all of us here in Colorado, and it's a very special place, and a place that I would like to move to with my family in service to the community. I also would like to follow in the footsteps of the excellent leadership in the city manager's office and amongst the appointed leadership here in Golden. And also, I find the elected leadership in this city to be absolutely excellent and serving your interests very, very well. I found that the financial stewardship and the financial sustainability of the city are extremely attractive to me, and I hope to all of you, and I think are really perhaps the cornerstones of your success for the future. I want to talk a little bit about how I plan to foster and move forward the goals of the strategic plan of Golden. And I have to do it this way, is when I'm walking around doing my job at the City of Westminster, I keep a copy of our strategic plan in my coat pocket. And every meeting that I go to, every discussion that I have, I find that all the work that we're doing connects to this strategic plan. Now you'll notice it's a little dog-eared and it's got some stuff circled and some areas of it are folded over, but to me, the strategic plan is really the fundamental job of the city manager to execute on the plan of the mayor and city council. And here in Golden, that amounts to 45 actions. That's really the report card of the city manager, to my mind, and the way that I would foster it everywhere I went as your city manager. I'm an inspirational leader. I'm a servant leader. I've gotten proven results, and I would hope to inspire this workforce to serve the mayor and council and the residents in achieving those 45 action goals that are in the strategic plan. So that's how I would foster it, and I've got some experience in a few of these different areas that are in your strategic plan, namely in the Colfax corridor, and I talked a little bit of that. I think there are some parallels to the work that I've done that relate to your Heart of Golden, a vision for your city in financial feasibility, in enjoyment for the public, construction, and the planning and design that is already, many of these strategic plan items that were set forth in March are very mature. Some of them are, I think, nearly done. So that's something that's encouraging and exciting and attractive to city manager candidate. I have experience with diversity, equity, and inclusion. I've launched for our city in Westminster our first ever organizational assessment of diversity, equity, and inclusion. We now have an action plan moving forward, and we've just this month gotten approved a position for our city, an individual, a professional who will bring that plan to life in the Westminster organization. So I've supported that and gotten results in that particular area. I'm contributing to some of the goals of the strategic plan already related to the desire for a Jefferson County Navigation Center for the unhoused. I've been a collaborator and a key partner to the managers and leaders across Jefferson County who hope to bring a navigation center to hopefully contribute to what I call the continuum of compassion, and then also the protection of parks, open space, and trails as it relates to this very challenging issue that we have here across the Denver metro area. Finally, one of the goals in this strategic plan relates to workplace retention and recruitment, and I have deep experience there through the pandemic, but before that and all the way through to today in attracting talented employees to work for our city in Westminster and to retain those very valuable employees who have a history and a legacy of experience and knowledge that just brings a real special asset to local government work, and that's why we see so much longevity in our profession over the years. So with that, I'll just close with how would I continue to make Golden a great place to live, work, and play? And really that's to build on success. I think Heather touched on that just a little bit. Don't get complacent. Whoever your city manager is, continue to come and be a part of the community as you have tonight. Stay engaged, stay vocal, and I think that this will remain a great place to live, work, and play for the future. I'll also say that Golden has innovated in the past, and I think you'll continue to innovate in the future, which creates change, some of which will be challenging and maybe even a little scary going forward, but you've done it before, and I think you can do it again. I think that the best way for that to continue going forward is the city council is a reflection of the residents. You voted them to office, and they've now built a strategic plan to meet your needs that you've expressed in the various community surveys and community outreach activities that have happened across Golden over the number of years. So congratulations for that. Take pride in your community. It's a beautiful, exciting, and thriving community, and one that I hope to move to if I become the next city manager in Golden. Thank you so much, and I'll be here with the other candidates. We have copies of our resumes and our business cards, so please stay and chat with us, and we look forward to answering your questions. Thank you.
My foot's asleep, I'm sorry. Hi, everybody. I'm Carly Lawrence. I work for the City of Golden currently. I've had the privilege of being the deputy for the City of Golden for the past 4 years. And I can still remember when I came in to interview for my job. And as I was driving into Golden, of course I had been to Golden a million times before, but I remember driving in for my interview and really looking at Golden and thinking, I hope I always remember how lucky I am to be here and work here. And just really had that intense sense of gratitude. And for me, working here, I have lots of different landmarks and places within Golden where I just think to myself when I'm there, like, take a moment and remember that you get to work with this community and just be really, really grateful. So I just want to start off with that because I am really grateful for you all to be here and listening to all the candidates. And I'm grateful to be considered for the next city manager. I've really gotten to listen and learn about the community for the past 4 years, which has been really fantastic. Usually I'm in front of you talking about a project and not about myself, but it's been really great to work with you all on projects and partnerships to make the community better. And I've just really enjoyed that experience. And in the past few months, as I've been serving as the interim city manager, I've really had the opportunity to maximize my impact. And having a big impact on Golden and the community is why I love local government. That's why I love the job that I already have. But what I've noticed in these last few months is, as the city manager, I feel like I can make even more of an impact and be a part of decisions and be in front of you all and talking to you all regularly. And that's just really exciting to me and something I would love the opportunity to do and continue to do. So I think it's really important for our next city manager to be really accessible to you all and be really part of the community and easy to talk to and available to think about the future, talk about different ideas, talk about partnerships, meet for coffee, do all of those things. And so I'd really like to see us to get even closer as far as building relationships and have the city manager really be part of the community that you all can talk to anytime you have something that you have a question about or wondering about, or hopefully we talk before you even wonder about it. Maybe I can tell you about it before it's happening. So I'd really like that to be what the future holds for me as your next city manager. I Really want to continue to partner with the amazing groups we have in the community. We have Hunger Free Golden, the Civic Foundation, the Chamber, Foothills Art Center. We have so many great partners that we're just really lucky to have, and I want to foster more of those partnerships because we've seen really great outcomes when we work together and can really maximize what we can do for the community when we're all together. Whether implementing changes along the creek, I know you all are aware we've been working really hard on the creek. I've been working with city council and staff to really look at ways that we can manage the creek better. And that includes trying a lot of new things, and I appreciate that you're all patient as we try to figure out what the best way forward looks like. But I want to be somebody that you can always count on to pilot new ideas, listen to new ideas, and think through better ways that we can address things that are happening in the community together, and not be afraid to stop doing something that's not working, change directions, and say, okay, let's try this new idea. And I think that that's something that you can always count on me for, that I'm not somebody that says, we haven't done that, or that's not the way we do things. I'm interested in hearing more, and I know that our community has a lot of really great ideas, and I've really enjoyed hearing them from you, and I think that our future includes a lot of that. Managing the Heart of Golden process has been really great, and another way that we're really looking towards the future and what ways we can really make this area that's the heart of our community into even more of something that serves our residents and families and make it even more enjoyable for our whole town. And so that's been a really great project to be a part of. As the next question that we had was, how do you plan to foster and move forward the goals of the strategic plan? I think the best thing about a strategic plan is that it really helps guide decisions and priorities and helps understand trade-offs of what we're doing and why we're deciding to start with that. Because that can be one of the most challenging things we have is there's so many great ideas out there, and what do we do first? And so the strategic plan's a really great guiding document to help us think through what the focus is for the year. And from our first draft of the strategic plan, and then talking to council this year at the retreat, I really was trying to think about ways that we can make the strategic plan easier for the community to look at and think through. Think about who the audience for the strategic plan really is, and working with council to make it something that the community can follow and really see results in the community with. And so I've really been focused on how to make the strategic plan better and make it come to life for staff, for city council, and for the community. I've been doing a weekly status update for the strategic plan to city council, as well as in staff meetings, and really talking about where it's at and what progress we've made on a weekly, daily basis. We've also been posting those on the website so that the community can see, but I really think the next step is thinking about the best way of sharing those updates with the community in a way that is interesting and exciting for the community to really track progress throughout the year. And so that's something I'd really like to see move forward in the future. I'm also really excited about further including the strategic plan into the budget and the budget process, and really having the budget reflect what the strategic plan values and projects look like. And when I was, before I came to Golden, I worked for the city of Wheat Ridge, our neighbor, for several years. And I really was focused on budget and developing the budget, internal working on the budget, and communicating the budget to the community. And I think that focusing on outcomes and priorities and the way that the budget works, and working with our really great CBAC board to think of ways that we can talk about the budget, talk about what we're spending money on, in these categories that make sense to everybody, because sometimes budgets can be a little bit boring. I'm sorry, Jeff. And so I think that that's something I'd really like to see move forward and be something that's more approachable for everybody and something that we can focus on and move forward with. Another piece that we talked about was how do we plan to continue to make Golden a great place to live, work, and play? So I think that really looking ahead at what some of the future might hold and ways and gaps that we have, and what are some ways that we could address those gaps. One of those has been all the grant opportunities that have existed in the last few years. There's been a lot of really great grants, and Golden has been really fantastic at applying for grants and receiving really great grants from the state, from CDOT. And I just learned that we have received a $400,000 grant from Perlmutter's office for the Peaks to Plains Extension Trail, which will help bikers be able to bike the Peaks to Plains Trail and not have to go through the hardest part of the city to go through on a bike. So I really appreciate that about our staff and that creative looking at ways to find money and fund really important projects to the community. So I think that that's a place that I really think is something we can continue to do to make Golden better continually. I'm really excited about, I need water. I'm really excited about, it's okay. The culturals and all the, thank you, Marcus. I'm getting excited and talking too fast and need a sip of water. I'm really excited about the culturals within the community and, Astor House and Foothills Art Center and Myers Hardware and really what that looks like in the future. I've been looking at that area and just trying to imagine what it'll look like in a couple years. And it's just so exciting. And I'm excited to be a part of what that looks like and really figure out ways for the city to partner and help our culturals more because they bring so much vibrancy and excitement to the city. I'm excited to, I know I could probably talk about all the things I'm excited about for a while. I'm excited to we're working on a 311 request system so that people can request things from the city easier. Right now we have our City of Golden email address where people can send in questions or comments or feedback, and we'll respond to those through our kind of City of Golden email. But we're looking at ways that we can make that easier. That's one of the pieces on our strategic plan. And I'm excited for that because I think it's something that will really improve the community's communication with the city and provide fast responses for all the needs that you all have within the community. As far as work, making it a great place to work, I know that Golden's a very business-friendly community, and we want to stay that way. We have small businesses that really make our unique Golden. And that's really important to us and something we want to continue to maintain. But it's also us as an employer, and how are we a great place to work as a city? Because I think that happy employees give you all better services and make this place a great place to live as well. So I really think it's important to take care of our employees at the City of Wheat Ridge, make sure that they feel appreciated and are engaged so that we can bring the services that you all need from the city as well. I think in closing, I see myself as a thoughtful, adaptable, dedicated leader, and I care very much about Golden. And I just have a lot of awe and respect for the beauty of this town and this community. And I'd really like to take this to the next step and be the leader of this community and really continue to build relationships and work with you all to keep making it a better place. So thank you for having me.
Hello, everybody. Can you guys hear me? All right. Hello, everyone. I'm very thrilled to be here, excited to be considered for the position of Golden City Manager. I want to thank you all for taking the time out of your busy lives to come here today to learn a bit more about all of the candidates for this position. I look forward to questions, that you guys may have. I look forward to the opportunity to chat with you individually after the formal portion of this is concluded as well. I currently serve as the manager of Summit County, Colorado, organization of over 500 employees, about 30 departments, and an annual budget of in excess of $140 million. I've been with the county since 1999, serving in several capacities, first as the Human Resources Director, then as Assistant County Manager, and then for the past 6+ years as the County Manager. I've been, partly due to my career starting in Human Resources, I recognize that employees are the engine that really can make an organization either run or sputter. They're critical to the success of the city and the community. It's necessary to show them our appreciation regularly and to support them with the appropriate tools and resources to be successful. It's important they have clear and consistent expectations and that we can measure and promote our successes. I've been fortunate in my roles at Summit County that they've allowed considerable professional growth for myself beyond human resources. I've been responsible for capital project management, for IT, ambulance services, emergency management, communications, libraries, and health and human services, just to name a few. The opportunity to manage many departments and their directors and lead such a diverse set of functions over the past 2 decades provides me with a comprehensive understanding of local government management. I'm drawn to the City of Golden opportunity because it shares many of the same values and priorities that I embrace within Summit County. Preserving open space, recreational activities, a thriving small and corporate business community, an engaged and involved local community, one that proactively addresses growth and its impacts, supports the arts, works to preserve its history, improves opportunities for disadvantaged members of the community through diversity, equity, and inclusivity initiatives, along with education and assistance programs, and is a collaborative and cooperative organization. I've spent over 2 decades in Summit County. My wife and I raised 2 daughters who are mostly on their own. We had 1 rebounder, but she's getting ready to rebound back out again. Summit County will always be a special place for me, but living in a tourist mecca and at over 9,000 feet elevation certainly can have its drawbacks, including the transitory nature of much of our population, the fact that my parents and my in-laws can no longer tolerate the altitude and safely visit, and the winter seems to last for the better part of 9 months, and that can wear on an individual and on a family. My wife and I believe this is the perfect opportunity to remain in Colorado in a true community with similar values, recreation opportunities, shorter winters, and easier access to many of the conveniences offered by a large metropolitan area that Summit County doesn't provide. There are lots of other city and county management opportunities, from the towns of Frisco and Vail to Front Range cities like Arvada and Littleton, Larimer and Garfield counties. But Golden is unique and the only position that I've pursued. It is truly a gem. It checks all of the boxes for me as an organization and as a community. In the weeks since I was named finalist, I've spoken with many friends and associates regarding this position, and the reaction has been universally positive about Golden, which has just reinforced my excitement about this opportunity. The City of Golden is well regarded. It has a dedicated and professional staff. Its employees, by all accounts, genuinely enjoy their work environment and the ability to make a positive impact through public service. The community is engaged and committed to maintaining Golden's unique character. There's a tremendous framework in place within the Golden Vision 2030 plan, the comprehensive and neighborhood plans, the capital improvement plan, the strategic action plan. Numerous partner agencies, commissions, and committees oversee and advise and inform staff and council regarding the above plans, along with sustainability, economic development, parks and recreation, art and culture, and too many others to name. I will continue the work that has been accomplished in supporting strategic planning efforts and visioning while providing a fresh perspective. and insights into how we may improve to accelerate priority projects. I'll reach out to staff, community members, organizations, council, to understand if the community and council goals are being changed, what obstacles have staff, have council encountered as they are implementing these policy goals, and how can I work to help to remove those barriers. I have a proven track record as a successful manager and leader of a large organization. My successes include many innovative collaborations and partnerships with private, nonprofit, and public agencies, including the local chamber, restaurant associations, and builders associations, which were all highlighted during the recent pandemic, COVID-19. Successes include early childhood education, quality and capacity initiatives, healthcare development and affordability projects, open space protection and management, state and local transportation projects, public facility development, project management and financing, public health initiatives around nicotine, youth substance use and mental health, pandemic response and recovery. We've implemented sustainabilities from zero waste initiatives, EV readiness and solar incentives, and local building code adoptions that go beyond the required codes within the state and within the localities. The county has been a leader in wildfire preparation, preparedness, response, and mitigation, including routinely exercising for wildfire, providing chipping and grant programs to our local community, Forest Service partnerships to fund mitigation projects, and increase on-the-ground education and enforcement staff. The biggest challenge in Summit County is workforce housing. We have a multi-pronged partnership approach that includes land banking and development practices, development projects, as well as developing deed restriction purchase and short-term to long-term rental incentive programs, and code changes to further incentivize private development and private partnerships, public-private partnerships with the county. All of these experiences and skills will serve me well in maintaining and building upon the city's successes and meeting the community and council goals. My leadership approach is centered on empowerment and enjoyment. I find that with more autonomy and more responsibility, people thrive. They're more productive, more fulfilled professionally, and more committed to the organization. I believe this is a great match for the culture within the city of Golden and the community in general. My goal as a city and county manager is to actively engage with the community, listen to their input, work closely with council and staff to develop priorities and projects that build upon successes while learning from our failures. As an organization and a community, we have to be willing to try new things, to take risks, and accept that we may make mistakes along the way. But by encouraging new ideas and approaches, we can be nimble and creative in continuing to make Golden a wonderful community and the city a model for other local governments. Thanks again for attending and taking the time to hear about my background and my interest in the position, and I look forward to the process continuing. And again, I think we're going to be opening up for questions here as well. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you to all of our finalists. Really nicely done. We will now open it up for questions. I will ask if you have questions, because we are recording this to have available to the broader public, if you could please come to one of the microphones versus having a question out at your seats. I can run a microphone to you if you need, but if you have questions, if you could come to one of the microphones and direct it to any of the candidates, all of the candidates that you would like, but we will now open it up to you. You guys are being easy. Okay.
Hi, you guys. Is it on? I'm Jim Dale, and one of my passions is the budget of Golden. I've been on the Citizens Budget Advisory Committee for 20 years, I guess. So I'm pleased that you all have strong financial backgrounds, but I'd like for you to outline what you perceive as some of the key budget priorities, say 3 to 5, that face the city of Golden in the out years.
Maybe we can use this one. Is that still going? And I think we can probably extend it this way if we do it right. Thank you. Thanks for the help. Okay. Whoop. Everybody heard the question, I'm glad, because we've got the microphone going, and I'll hand this off to the other candidates here in a minute. Once again, Larry Doerr, City of Westminster Deputy City Manager. I also serve as our Chief Financial Officer. I'm a licensed certified public accountant, and I've been involved in budgets for 20 years in local government, and taken, of course, a look at the award-winning budget of the City of Golden. Naturally, it's a huge part of my due diligence and interest in serving as city manager in Golden, so kudos to all of the leadership involved in that. You know, financial sustainability is clearly going to be an issue going forward. I think the measures of inflation, both in wages, insurance, fuel prices being what they are, how many people are filling up at $5, $6, $7 a gallon. Those are going to be some of the most significant, I think, challenges in maintaining financial sustainability for this city and any city going forward. I had one comment, one suggestion that related to the city's goals for affordable housing, that it might be productive for the city to set up and launch a housing fund so that perhaps the city could very intentionally and in a very thoughtful and concrete, transparent way present and describe its commitment to attainable and affordable housing in the city of Golden. So thank you. I think those are some of the challenges, but I also see lots of opportunity in what's happening in Golden in terms of the tax base and all of the vibrancy. So I think you're poised very well to meet the challenges. So kudos for that and on a great budget process. Thank you.
Okay, top 3 to 5. I think our fire department is one of the areas that will be one of our budget focuses, looking at how we can staff the fire department and afford fire service for the whole community. And we have a great fire department and great volunteers that work for the fire department, but we have some decisions to make as far as budgeting for the fire department and what that'll look like into the future. We also have the Heart of Golden project, which, we're really focusing on the eastern portion of the corridor and what that phase 1 looks like, which would be parking garage, city hall facility, what maybe some partnerships might look like for the other parts of that land. And so that's a big budget consideration that we'll need to think through and fit into other needs and priorities and see where it lands. So I think those are 2 really big ones that are on the horizon. And then I think just in general, it's really prioritizing and looking at what the trade-offs are of projects, because we also have, we have 93 design that's not yet funded, and some of these really big roadways projects that we don't have identified funding for, that will be big projects coming up. So I think that we have some funding challenges, but we do have a really good financial backbone of the city and a good reputation for trying to think through those in a practical way and really trying to make good decisions for the community and not thinking lightly about what we can budget for and really talking through it with the whole community and getting buy-in.
Thanks, Carly. So appreciate everything everybody said. So a little bit repetitive here, but I think fiscal sustainability so that we can continue to provide the high level of service that you've all become accustomed to and continue to provide those services, and that's sustainable long-term into the future. And that includes fire and all those services that we rely on. Transportation, I think absolutely, those critical transportation improvements. And then the retention and attraction of staff remain competitive so that we can continue to hire and build a culture where we have great staff doing great work for the city. And affordable housing, I think, is also a huge issue in how you continue to build resources to support and build partnerships to have that diversity of housing stock in your community.
All right, this is tough to come last because everything good's been said. So I think a lot of what the rest of the group has said is what I would say as well, from what I've gleaned from the conversations I've had with council, the research that I've done on the city of Golden. So transportation issues, workforce housing, capital development around the Heart of Golden project, all of those things are big key items. I think the thing that I would add, in Summit County, we added grants administrator position earlier this year when we saw the amount of resources that were going to be made available at the state and federal level. And that has proven to be an incredibly good investment for a single staff person. We've ended up somewhere in the neighborhood of about $6 million in grants that have been awarded to the county, to Summit County, so far since March when that individual started. And so we're doing really well in that area, and I think that we need to take advantage of those sorts of alternative, and they may be limited time opportunities to garner more funds and create a more financially sustainable organization going forward.
This is a great opportunity to have a chance to meet the four of you, and I think Golden is fortunate. My name is Ronnie Rosenbaum. I've been a member of Golden for 25 years and really appreciate our community. Carly used the word buy-in, and that's a crucial concept to move Golden ahead when there's people who are holding on. And whether it's dealing with affordable housing and not in my backyard, whatever, I'd value hearing from all of you how you would see getting that buy-in.
Yeah, we're going to go in reverse order this time. We run into that challenge. I'm sure all of us within all of the organizations that we've worked with whether it's workforce housing or a trails project that somehow is going to impact an individual or an individual neighborhood. And the best way that I've found to be successful and to get that buy-in from the staff, from the elected officials, and from the community in particular is to be open and to be transparent and to involve them in the conversation early on. If you go through a process and you get to the point where you've got drawings on paper and you've got a plan in place and nobody in that area knew it was coming, you're just asking for trouble. And so you have to be engaging with folks from the very beginning of those concepts and those ideas and trying to come up with plans that can satisfy as many of the diverse needs as possible. You're not always going to make everybody happy, but if they're engaged from the beginning and they are a part of the decision-making process, what I've found is that they are much more likely to be supportive of the final finished product.
Thanks. I would just add, communication engagement's really critical, so that everybody knows what's going on all along the way. And again, that process up front is really important. I also think it's really great to engage folks where they are. We did a small area plan in Louisville, and it was on the west side of town, and typically we have our meetings in downtown. We, that's where a lot of folks gather, but this was a part of town that was really looking at some change in terms of mixed use and some empty, vacant, large boxes, previous retail spots. And we had a event with a movie outside and tables where staff got to really share what was going on with the sub-area plan. And lots of people walked and biked, a lot of residential folks nearby, different community than the one downtown. And so it was just really exciting to get folks out and engaged talking about their neighborhood. So I think that's really critical too. What are those other ways to engage people and meet them where they are? So that's, who's next? Carly.
I would add to what Heather just said, that I really think what I really like about meeting people where they're at is that it's also really great to talk when you don't have a project or you have something that you need to talk about. let's just have opportunities to talk to each other, just to update on all the things that are happening, and not just when there's something that we need or some specific project we're looking for feedback, but let's have more opportunities to talk about all the things that are coming up, and meetings that don't have one specific topic that just includes those people that know that they have an opinion about that topic, but meetings that are just open meetings for people to come and chat about whatever's on their mind, and we can share about new things that are coming up. And I think that that's a good way to break down some of those barriers and really build buy-in for different ideas, different projects within the city, and work together to kind of solve problems. And I know that Golden is really engaged, and we're really lucky that we have a community that's really up for that.
Ronnie, thanks for the question. I would just add, success begets success. And when you've had buy-in and your elected and appointed leaders are listening to you and delivering on their promises, that trust will foster future successes and future buy-in. And you'll have a higher degree of engagement, and all the things that have been said about meeting people where they're at. Who here has heard of Guiding Golden? You know, yeah, it's an excellent tool. If you haven't heard of it, really go to it. Take pride in what your city's offering to you on Guiding Golden. I think it's a terrific resource. It's a very transparent tool. There are some very quality communications on the web there that will help you understand not just where the project has began, but where it's at, where it's going, and it's just an excellent portal. So I think that communication really creates buy-in, and then you've got to deliver, under promise and overperform. So thank you.
Hi everyone, thank you for being here. My name is Lily Bosworth. I'm a grad student at Colorado School of Mines. So I would love to hear you all talk about how you hope to foster a relationship with not just the institution, but the students at School of Mines, because we tend to be on the lower income end of the spectrum, either as undergrads or graduate students, but we love to live in Golden and engage with all of the things that the city has to offer. So I just want to hear you all speak to that a little bit.
That's a great question. Look to build relationships, and I think also opportunities where students can engage with the community as well, and opportunities for students to be part of those conversations as we seek buy-in on all kinds of things. And also, I think, I assume housing and services are an issue as well for students, and so really I think there's some, and I'm sure that work's going on, but how we can continue to talk about housing and what that means for students at all levels of the housing spectrum, and how that we can continue to provide opportunities for the college and the students to engage with the citizens who are of Golden, which, the students are citizens too. So, how we can just continue to work together and provide opportunities together and do great work. So.
I love that you asked that question, and I love that you're here. And I want to talk more about what that could look like, like starting now. I think that's such a great point, and I do think that we historically have engaged a lot more with the institution than thinking about the students as a whole. And so I think that that's a great future direction that we can take. I know that we work on, specific projects with students and engage with them on kind of specific areas, but I think it would be great to, in a more broad sense, have students be more included in some of the outreach that we have and some of the projects, because wow, we have such a really great resource in the really smart students that we have in this community, and it's something that not everybody has. And so I think there's a lot of untapped potential to work together and work on really interesting things. So we're so lucky to have Mines as part of the city for that reason. So I'd really love to see more collaboration.
I haven't gone third yet, so I'm going to give that a shot. Thank you to the candidates. I would agree. As I've traveled across the country and been involved and visited college towns across the country, there is a different degree of engagement in some of those communities, and I would want to know what have been some of the keys to success in those areas. So thank you for being here tonight. I appreciate the question, Lily, and I think that it's a huge opportunity. I'd love to see more engagement between the university and the residents. I would be a regular at university activities, from football games to everything in between, and maybe there's an opportunity to promote to a different level, perhaps the number of activities, and there's perhaps some opportunities for volunteerism for students as well. And so I think it's perhaps communication and collaboration, but maybe there's an opportunity for student leadership as well to engage with the city council and others at a different degree, and perhaps forge some relationships going forward. So maybe you've started something here tonight, and that's exciting. So thank you.
Yeah, that is a wonderful question. In Summit County, we've got a couple of campuses of Colorado Mountain College, one in Dillon and one in Breckenridge. A little different style of college than Colorado School of Mines, but we've done a lot of work with CMC as an institution to try to identify programming that they can implement, degree programs, extension of 2-year degrees into 4-year degree programs to help to support the community and the needs that it has around workforce. I know that some of those kinds of things happen within Golden and within School of Mines. What we've also done very recently is we're working, to your point, about wanting to live in the community and some of the struggles there. We're partnering with Colorado Mountain College actually to build a second dormitory building. So they're building one dorm. They don't have the funds to build the second building, but they've got a site plan for it that's been approved. So the county and the town of Breckenridge are going to build that second building to be able to provide more housing. The only criteria would be that those folks be students and be workers within the community, which 99% of the CMC student base also works within the community of Summit County. And so it gives those folks an opportunity to live in a much more affordable environment right within the community that they're going to school. And I'd certainly welcome, again, the ideas that everybody has shared around engaging more with the student population in addition to the institution itself.
My name is Greg Holden, and my question would have to do with tourism versus business in town. On the weekends, a lot of us decide, well, I'm not going downtown in Golden on the weekend because it's too busy, there's people all over the place. And so for me, the big question is, how do you manage that kind of thing, and what kind of suggestions do you have for us when we get inundated 2 days a week, and then the rest of the time, things are so much nicer? What are your ideas for that?
All right, so the guy from the tourist mecca of Summit County is going to talk. So we're dealing with those same sorts of issues around capacity, carrying capacity of our community. I've mentioned this several times in the different interviews and group meetings that we've had so far as part of this process. COVID did Summit County no favors, and I'm sure Golden is experiencing some of the same thing. Everybody was told you need to go and experience the great outdoors. It's the safest thing you can do during a pandemic. And so we've been overrun in Summit County. Now, people can travel elsewhere, but they're still coming to Summit County. They're still coming to Golden. And so what we're trying to do is manage that. We're trying to identify how can people behave like a local, how can they recreate like a local, where they're not damaging our trails, where they're not parking, where they're not supposed to be parking. So education campaigns around that, signage around that, incentives with hotels and other lodging to make sure that they're providing that sort of information to folks. You can't put a gate up. We've had a lot of calls for gates in Summit County to keep folks out. I'm here, nobody else can come. That's not realistic, it's not practical. But we are looking at the event schedule. We're looking at the types of activities that we're allowing. How many big trail races, bike races, those sorts of things are taking place within the community, and have we overdone it? And do we need to back away from some of those things so that the locals can enjoy those amenities during the times when they're available? The other thing that we're trying to do is manage how do we spread things out. So how do we encourage and incentivize people to come during the week rather than just on the weekend, and take advantage of those same activities, but do them throughout the course of a week rather than all being isolated on a single day. So those are some of the techniques that we're using within Summit County, and we're having varying degrees of success. We've implemented a shuttle system. I think I mentioned this maybe last night at dinner with the council. Quandary is the most visited 14er in the state of Colorado. And so we have a parking lot that fits 70 cars. And on a given summer weekend, we have 400 people trying to park there. So they are clogging up all the roadways, et cetera. So last season, we implemented a shuttle program and a paid parking program. And we began to enforce people that were not parking legally at that trailhead. And it was an incredible success. We did a free shuttle. Now this year, pilot year number 2, we're charging for the shuttle. And so we're going to see just how that goes over along with paid parking. And so it's creative ideas, it's different ideas, it's things that maybe in some ways will be a little inconvenient, but then how do you work in some sort of a locals program into that mix so that those locals maybe get a free parking, or they get free access to the shuttle, or after a certain time of the day, they're able to park there and take advantage of that local amenity when they tend to do it. So those are some ideas.
Yeah, so totally agree with everything Scott just said. Communication, management of your number of events and where they're going on in the city. We, again, in Louisville had a lot of events downtown, and so really tried to think about, are there different parks in the community that we can use? Where should we be holding these events? So again, really speaking to the management. Enforcement is critical as well, and signage, being really clear with folks about what their expectations are for how we're gonna treat and maintain our facilities. And we in Louisville we have the street fair during the summer. It's on Friday nights, and we have some. We contract with the Downtown Business Association, and they have previously. A couple of years they had some really big bands, and the community, there was a lot of feedback about that, and so we. Pre-COVID, we really, the city talked with the Downtown Business Association and said, maybe we don't need the 8 nights, I think there were, that 4 of them have to be the real big bands. Maybe it's just 2. And that we really work at educating the community and the public about what that looks like, shuttle, parking, all of that as well, and that seemed to work. And and then some people are like, well, we like the big bands. So it's that balance. And I think the other thing that we always did is at the end of each season, we always reported back to City Council and said, so here's what events happened, here's how it worked. These are the things we liked, these are the things we didn't, these are the things that we might want to change for next year as we start to plan for events for the following year.
Well, I'm in Golden, so I have all the same concerns that you have. This year we're really trying a lot of new things for trying to manage the creek and the influx of people that come in, and experimenting with some of the parking things. We're really looking at what a shuttle might look like for next year, and if we can make that happen, what are ways we can really incentivize getting people not to just park in the one spot that really, really just congests the whole area. So we're thinking through a lot of those things, but it is really tough. And I know that when I talk to other communities, some of them are jealous a little bit, and they're like, "Oh, I wish we had people that came," and it's like it's lovely, but it's too much at sometimes, and so it's really that balance and trying to manage. What does that look like, and how can we spread it out? With events, both since before COVID, we've really tried to not shut down Washington Avenue to big events so that just creates less problems in the area. So really trying to get events to work with us and be manageable and not make the weekends as crazy as they can be in Golden. But I think this is something we'll be working on, of course, for the next few years, because when you're great, a great place, everybody wants to come see it. So it's a problem.
Thank you. Everything that's been said, it's the one question that got applause. Wow. I'll just add, start your 14er early, and the shuttle runs early. Geographic disbursement, of course, of different things that visitors can do, not concentrated in one physical location. Maybe that was mentioned, but I wanted to put an exclamation point on that. Of course, paid parking and permit parking for neighborhood encroachments, right, is obviously very key, and I know that that's happening here, and I think it will be successful. So also, I would just say examination of marketing and communications budgets. For so long that has had a return on investment, and maybe that's matured and should be something to think about. But it's ever a challenge, is because businesses want to continue to grow. That's a fundamental metric, and at some point, residents reach a tipping point, and it's the one question that got some hoops and hollers and things like that. So the point is, your voice is heard. I think additional engagement with your chamber, who we'll be talking to in the morning, will likely have some comparable feelings. It's particularly resident business owners. That's a really interesting dynamic for those who both live and work and invest in the community. So many things mentioned here, but a couple of additions. Thank you.
Hello, my name's Tom Wheaton. I've been a resident of Golden for 26 years, and one of you spoke in your first 10 minutes about exceeding expectations and being able to, if there was a standard out there, to exceed that and really to encourage your staff to make sure that would just be something that was occurring all the time. And something that's been close to my heart here, obviously, is the Americans with Disabilities Act and housing and access, particularly our unique terrain, and how to maximize a grade versus just go through the minimum requirements. So for any department that you've been with, not just working with the disability committee or aging committee, what have you, can you describe an example of how you, through your leadership, have been able to kind of foster that exceeding expectation mantra, not only for those disability issues I talked about, but for any department? Because I did hear a lot about financials today, which I think is great, to exceed expectations when you have a budget and you beat that. At the same time, there's sometimes where money expended a little extra is more important for some of the reasons I brought up. So I would just like to hear your hearts from not only your experience and how you have demonstrated that, but how maybe the community has demonstrated that to you, that you're able to be responsive to, or that your staff came up with some unique ideas to do better than expected. Thanks.
Okay, thanks for the question. I appreciate that. I'll go first since I went last. I think we're ready to do that again. Let's see, just related to the question at hand regarding accessibility and making our trails, open space, and parks accessible to the disabled. In Lakewood, we created one of the most accessible parks in South Lakewood that has been a hallmark in the region. But I'll just pivot as well to kind of exceeding expectations. I really appreciated that, and I'll talk about some of the work that I've done in my career related to the environment. related to solar farms and related to energy performance contracting, and just trying to be out to the front of that and exceed expectations for our facilities management and energy consumption, water consumption. I think one of the ways we've done that is just get momentum and excitement with your elected officials and the staff across the city to try new and different ideas, take some risks. Some of those won't be successful, but you have to create a culture and an environment where you allow people to try new and different things. And I think a real key for me has been, it was mentioned earlier, electric vehicles and electrifying a fleet. I think that created a few opportunities to do that at City of Westminster. We're exploring the idea of having an electric fire apparatus in our community and electrifying even some of our first responder and police vehicles. So trying to push that to the greatest extent possible and giving people a room, I think, to try some experimental things on a small scale and then hopefully expand that with success. So a couple of areas in my career doing that. Thank you.
I think that maybe the one, I've got a number of different thoughts running through my head about things I could talk about. I think the one that I'll talk about that is really important, I think, is around wildfire prevention and preparedness. Summit County found itself, we had been putting in fire restrictions either on the day that we had a fire or the day after we had a fire for 2 or 3 years in a row. And we were getting pretty frustrated with the U.S. Forest Service and the criteria that they utilize for restrictions. And so we got together as a county and all of the towns within the county to work with the Forest Service to try and actually create an alternative set of requirements that would dictate when we went into restrictions or when we didn't go into restrictions. That was successful for a couple of seasons, and then the Forest Service and the federal government became a bit concerned about the fact that we were the only place in the country that was using a different set of criteria, and so that's unfortunately gone a bit by the wayside. But at the same time, when we developed that relationship with the Forest Service, we also began some programming where we were providing funds to the Forest Service because their budget had been cut nearly in half within the White River National Forest. It is the busiest, most visited forest in the country. And the Dillon Ranger District, which is Summit County, is the most active individual district within the busiest national forest within the country. And we were petrified at the amount of visitors and activity that we were seeing in that forest and the threat of wildfire with all of the pine beetle death that had taken place amongst our trees and in our forest. And so what we did was we began to supplement funding to the U.S. Forest Service, which we all had to sort of swallow hard, that we were going to take some of our local taxpayer dollars and give it to the Forest Service. But what they then did was they created dispersed recreation crews that went out and did education. They cleaned up campsites. They closed down dangerous or high-risk campsites so that we would further reduce the amount of wildfire threat within our community. It's been incredibly successful. It's been adopted now by several other counties within the state where they're doing a very similar model to what we've done. We've added to that our sheriff's office, where we've provided funding to them to create a fire watch program within Summit County Sheriff's Office, where they're doing some of the same sorts of things on county open space, county lands that are outside of the forest, and then, of course, helping out the Forest Service when they run short of staff within the forest. And so those are some areas where I think we've gone maybe above and beyond and really thought out of the box.
Thanks. So fostering an atmosphere of exceeding expectations. So one of the things that we did when I became the city manager in Louisville. We built a strategic plan, but really an organizational strategic plan, and of course it tied in with city council's priorities as well, and the budget, but really talked about, how we do our work. So we had values: I care, innovation, collaboration, accountability, respect, and excellence. And then really, in order to build that strategic plan, we really engaged the employees, had lots of focus groups, lots of discussions, how they saw their work, how they valued their work, what was important to be successful in their work. And so once we completed that strategic plan, then we really worked to build that culture around, those expectations. And so we, quarterly, annually had opportunities to recognize employees and collaborative efforts that met those values. We really did build a culture where everybody, we have cards as well. You pulled out your strategic plan, and it has the values on one side and the mission and vision on the other. I have it in my wallet. People really took that seriously, and it really meant a lot. And also for employees to recognize each other when they saw examples of those values that were being expressed in the organization, and had trainings around each of those values, bag lunches. We did a video. So again, really built that culture that we were gonna be innovative and creative and set a great example for how we were gonna do our work and meet the expectations of the community. So really proud of that work, and so that's how we exceeded expectations.
Yeah, I really appreciate the question, and really appreciate that when you really try to think about a city and designing a city to be good for the very young, the very old, all the people that exist, I think that's when you get the best outcomes. And so I think that your point about what's the cost of not doing that, right? That can cost a lot more than putting the funding and money into making a place that's accessible to all people and enjoyed by all. So I think that it's really important, and it's important for so many people within the city, a full spectrum of people. And so I just really want to say that I think that accessibility, and I think that Golden does have a history of looking at not just what the financial cost is, but really that's just one piece, right? The social cost, the inclusion cost of not having everyone feel like they're part of the community is a lot more expensive. And so I think that really thinking through things for the full picture and not just what the financial cost is really important. One of the things that I think Golden's done, and one of the processes that I think we do really well, is I think we're pretty flexible. So we're small, we're kind of nimble. We can kind of come up with ideas and put them into place quickly. And so, comparatively. But I think that for us that means, homelessness and affordable housing are not things that normally a city of our size takes on and tries to have staff dedicated to those efforts, and really thinking about how that impacts the community and really focusing on those issues. And we do, and that was fairly quickly decided and moved forward. And I don't think there's a lot of other cities of our size that have affordable housing staff dedicated to that idea. And so I think we try to act fast, and I think we balance the idea of the costs that aren't financial. And I think that that's really important. Thank you for your question.
About to say thank you. Good night.
Hi, I'm Barb Warden, and I am particularly interested in government transparency. So I would be interested to hear whether your current cities or counties have all of your board and commission meetings available online, broadcast live, available for watching later, and whether your expenditures are online. Thank you.
Okay, pretty straightforward question. I'll just go first if that's okay, colleagues. Yes, transparency has been very important throughout my entire career. City of Lakewood launched the first transparency tools. And by the way, the City of Golden has excellent transparency financial tools and recorded meetings and so forth. Launched that. We're replicating all of that at Westminster. We'll be taking all of our contracts online, our entire pay plan, all of our expenditures and disbursements, travel, entertainment, and regarding recordings, of course, our city council meetings are formal boards and commissions. We do have some informal committees, some smaller ones where we don't record just due to the staffing involvement and taking minutes and things like that, some smaller ad hoc committees. But transparency is an expectation, and I absolutely embrace that and couldn't imagine doing it any other way. Thank you.
Yeah, I would just agree with that, and as well, when I started this evening, transparency and open government are huge tenets of the work that we do, and that I've done for my entire career. It's in our charter in the city of Louisville, which we have open government expectations in our city charter, and I helped work on that city charter in 2001. I came to the city in 1997, so we had a charter commission because we started as statutory went-home rule, and there's specific criteria there about open government as well as ethics, and so we take that very, very seriously. All our budget, all of that, payroll, all that is all online. We have a finance committee that looks at bills every 2 weeks. Those are all online as well. Our quasi-judicial boards and commissions are all videotaped, and we have all of that online as well. Some of the smaller boards and commissions they're working on it, but going virtual through the pandemic really assisted in getting a lot of that stuff online sooner as well, so that could continue to have meetings as well. So and then they're videotaped. So that's a huge tenet in Louisville and Boulder County, and really proud of those efforts.
Of course, you're well aware of Golden's, but I appreciate your dedication to this issue, and I think that it's really important because what transparency is really about is that it's about trust. And I think being transparent is really important to having the community's trust and making it a simple, easy interaction so that people can just see what they want to look at and they can feel the comfort that they know that their government's doing the right thing and that trust exists. So I think that that's why it's so important.
Yep, and within Summit County, we have all of our work sessions and all of our regular meetings are broadcast live via Zoom. Folks can participate in those meetings. They can, of course, attend in person. The video recording from those meetings are available online as well. All of our financial information, budgets, recommended budgets, annual financial reports, all of those things are available online on our site. And then, of course, if there's information that's missing, we're happy to actually have people come in, sit down, walk through any specific details, print out reports, share whatever information folks may be interested in seeing.
So I think we will officially close for tonight. I know the candidates have an early morning breakfast, so we should let them get some sleep. But I know they will hang out for a few minutes if you would like to interact with them or ask them any questions one-on-one. But again, thank you all for coming tonight, for being involved in this process, and thanks for joining us tonight.